Welcome to the True Demon Lord Show. I am the True Demon Lord Franco, and today we're gonna do a tier list, right? But I didn't want to do what everyone else does. Everyone else does either a god specific tier list or just general tier lists. And I was originally gonna do just a tier list of everything to talk about how we look in post data slate. Um, but I feel like that could be very long winded. People do that already, so I want to do something different. I want to break it up, kind of just do it a little bit different and focus on what everyone's talking about right now, right? So we've had a few days to digest the data slate, have a think about it, have a read through, plan some lists, and even get some games in. I've had a game. I'm pretty sure everyone else has had at least one or two games now as well. Um, and so I just wanted to talk about the Greater Demons, going through them just briefly, ranking them, how I think they're going to look from best to say worst. But I don't think any of the Greater Demons are bad. I think they've all got places, they've all got uses. Are there ones that are better than others? Definitely. Is there one that is better than the rest of them? Yes. Is there the least useful ones? Yes. But at the same time, you could run any of them and get uses out of them, depending on how you want to build your list. Um, I generally think, playing demons since the first set credits came out at the end of fourth, however many years ago that was, like 16, 17 years ago now. Um, haven't played since then. I think this is generally the first time that every Greater Demon has been in a really good spot. Like maybe going back to the fourth/fifth edition codex, but yeah, it's been a while, if that, um, where they've all felt at least usable to an extent. Um, Now this is of course my opinion, based off of the fact that I play a lot of competitive 40k. I only play demons, so I have this is it. Like I don't dabble in any other places. My sole focus is on demons. So, like I said, this is my opinion, and hopefully something that can kind of push you in the direction if you're because when you're building your list, you want greater demons, right? You want big monsters, and maybe you're stuck on, oh, I don't know what ones to take. I don't know what ones go best together. What do I need to do with certain situations to fit my list? So hopefully this goes away to helping you decide and just kind of giving you a direction, or at least helping you in that list building process. So we have 8 tiers. We go from top to bottom. Like I said, I don't want to say best to worst because that would insinuate that the worst is bad. And there is no bad greater demon. There is just least useful, I guess, or the bottom of the pile. But we had a bit of fun with the name. So we have Oh Yeah, You Exist as the bottom one, because it's the middle child. It's the bottom child, the last child, the youngest child. Yeah. You're okay, like you're around and we don't mind you. We still love you because even though you're low down, you're still great. The middle one and the middle one part two, because again, they get forgotten, the middle children, but they are still there. Then we have the third child, you know, it's the third favorite, I guess. The God's second, not quite the best, but close. And then obviously the greatest of greaters, and there is definitely one that came out of this data slate and just sits above. Now, when we're ranking these, we are going to be talking about them in more of a competitive setting. Um, and for the non-named greater demons, so the basic greater demons, we are going to be talking about them mostly as if it's the one with the relic, the enhancement, right? So Great Unclean with the Endless Gift, Lord of Change with the Everstay, Bloodthirster with Argath, and the Keeper of Soul Stealer. Um, we will mention as well taking multiple of them, and which ones you can kind of take multiple of, and which ones maybe take a multiple of probably isn't in your best interest. We're going to do a rundown of each one just briefly, some little like again, just trying to help you understand if you're confused on which ones you want to take, the best kind of way to get out, get the most out of them, but not too much of a deep dive. So let's stop talking. Let's start. We're going to start from the bottom. So we're going to start with Oh Yeah, You Exist. And poor old Fateweaver. So like I said, this doesn't mean he's bad. He's not bad. I just think out of all of them, he's the bottom of the pile, right? So of course he's in direct fire, which is um it got nerfed. It can only hit on a 4 now, which is fine. I mean, it wasn't the best. It's okay. Um, like these. these 3+6 shots when you supercharge it, strength 9, becomes strength 10 near a lot of change, -2, D3 damage. Yeah, it's okay, 24-inch range. It's not terrible. Obviously now it only hits on 4s instead of 3s. Because if he was firing out of line of sight, it hits on 4s, 3s where it was because he's normally ballistical 2. So that's a bit eh. He obviously, if you're taking a lot of Zinch stuff, he has an ability that when you use a stratagem on a Zinch unit within 6 inches of him, you roll a dice, and if you roll higher than the current battle round number, you get a CP. This was nice because again, all our stratagems or all our actual stratagems are 1 CP. So being able to say give him an extra point of AP and then potentially getting it back, or even a Lord of Change within 6 of him, because you're generally going to have a Lord of Change within 6 of him anyway, for the +1 strength. Being able to get CP back if you want to up the AP of him, of the Lord of Change, or CP reroll, etc., etc. And then obviously his Vex style ability, which for those that don't understand the term Vex style, whenever anyone mentions a Vex ability or a Vex style ability, they're talking about abilities that up the cost of CP, up the CP cost of stratagems for your opponent. Now, of course, before it was when your opponent uses a battle tactic stratagem, you can choose for the rest of the game to make it cost 1 extra CP. Fateweaver was worded a bit different, so it basically was like, um, every turn it goes up by 1, and that definitely wasn't the intention of it, but that's how the rules read. Of course, that doesn't matter now because all Vict abilities have changed and they're all the same. And I actually think they're good because I think they're still strong, but they're not overpowering because it just was really bad when you had, say, a Calidus in the back corner of the field, giving you an extra causing, say, for us, Realm of Chaos to be 2 CP, which hurt us badly, and you couldn't even go and get them to stop them. It's quite hard. Whereas now, Vect abilities it's a 12-inch aura. It affects any stratagem now, not just battle tactic, and it also affects multiple. So if you want to use 2 stratagems on 2 different units or 2 these stratagems on the same unit, and they're within 12 of the model or the unit with the vector ability, then they now those stratagems plus an extra CP. But like I said, it's not permanent. If you're outside of 12, it doesn't matter. You could be within 12, it costs you an extra CP. You move out of 12, it no longer costs you extra CP. So overall, I like I like that change. And I do think that's better for Fateweaver because again, it gives you more range of what you can do, or what you can make cost more. You can affect multiple stratagems now. You just can't do it across the board. But having him near, say, your combat threats like Blood Crushers, Greater Daemons like Shalaxi, Bloodthirster, Skarbrand, even your Be'lakor, and then just forcing your opponent to, either have to think about using their defensive strats or not being able to use as many of their offensive strats, or even if they do, they're not going to have the CP to then use other things the next following turn or whatever. Um, Another thing, my immediate thought was keeping him close to Be'lakor if you were to take him, and then armies that, for example, Tau, since one of my mates plays Tau and I play him a fair bit, and he likes retaliation card so they can drop in 3 away for 2 CP, shoot, and then move away for a CP. So being able to basically keep them within 12, um, or next to Be'lakor, so if they drop close, that unit is now spending 3 CP to do the 3-inch drop, which means it's either not going to have enough CP or they're not going to be able to move away, which is nice. Just as an example. So yeah, I think you've definitely got your uses. If we're going into a meta where we're going to be hit very hard by combat hordes, which it looks like we could be, and there are some key stratagems there, then maybe taking him to kind of keep him behind a line of something, using that 12-inch aura to just help, you know, make make your opponent's stratagem go a bit harder, and maybe bringing down the usefulness of their units because of no stratagems or linked stratagems. So yeah, so overall, he definitely sits at the bottom of the pile. By no means bad at all. Has his uses, just in my opinion, the least useful. Now, going into you're okay, which is 7th spot, right? I had a bit of a thought about this, and again, this is where it felt a bit bad because I feel like I'm ranking some lower than I want to, but it's just the way it's worked out. And again, I will reiterate, doesn't mean it's bad. So the keeper is going in 7th. I actually like the keepers. I wish they had a couple more attacks. I think 6 attacks on the sword isn't enough. I would like them to have 8 attacks on the sword. I also would like them to be strength 10, not strength 8. But that's by the by. But for 290 points, you're getting, a toughness 10 monster with a 4-up in one. You're always going to take the Shining Aegis, so it's going to have a 5-up for no pain. It's always -1 to hit. And then on top of that, because you're going to take, say, we'd take it with the Soul Stealer, and now they're always in the shadow, so it always gets a +1 to the roll. Every time it kills a model on a 3+, you get to return a model back. Return a model back. Get a wound back, sorry, on Earth. So they're already tough as it is. If you have the mask sitting around them for -1 to wound in combat against us from a certain unit, again, quite nice. If we're going into combat hordes, maybe keepers with masks sitting behind them isn't terrible. Um, but like I said, I feel like the combat punch, while nice, having no sweep hurts a bit. Having no like rerolls hurts. The strength 8 might hurt, because even though they're good into like that elitist middleweight unit, um, they're still going to be winning most like T5, T6, that type of unit on threes, or on twos if the mask is nearby. But yeah, this was a bit bad, but at the same time, a 14-inch move can always have nice and change for a CP now because they're always in the shadows, um, and using them to just surge forward, advance, say fiends within 6 inches of them, 6 on the opponent, or chariots or Shalaxi or other keepers, and then spending the CP to charge in. Like you can put a lot of high pressure out, and keepers again they're tough. And I keep circling back to wanting to do a keeper rush list, like Shalaxi and a couple keepers, and then some fiends and stuff like that, because you can really like just smack into your opponent, and with enough keepers and Shalaxi in their face, the -1 to hit on the keepers, the 5-up for no pain, 4-up invuns, reroll ones against shooting for a CP if you really want to from demonic and vulnerability. And then obviously the fiends are their -1 to hit aura as well. So you can really make them quite hard to deal with. Their damage again, at least it's flat 3 on their claws and their sword. That's nice. At least you know what you're getting. But the strength 8 can struggle a little bit, right? But overall, I do really like the keepers. Um, I think at 290 with the shadow bubbles, they're fine. Would have liked an extra couple of attacks and a bit more strength on the sword, but can't get too greedy. So, going into the 6th spot, we still love you. Um, so this one was hard. This is where it does get really hard. I mean, the whole thing was generally hard. This is where it gets quite hard. So I am going to put the. I'm now double thinking it. Hmm, gonna put the Lord of Change out. I like the Lord of Change. The Lord of Change is now the only problem with the Lord of Change, I think. Thing is, right, so the shooting's really good. Now, unlike the keepers where you can take multiple of them, not feel bad, you take your keeper with the Everstave. After that, you don't really take them, right? I think the drop in quality of the shooting from the Lord Change without the Everstave is massive. Um, and if I just don't think you take a second Lord of Change. Because obviously the Lord of Change with the Everstave always got 24 inches on the bolt with change, always 18 on the rods, um, always going to be strength 12 on the bolt, strength 11 on the rod, which is really nice. Obviously the sustained D3 is really good. Damage D3, I mean they are hurt badly by half damage or -1 damage. They don't like -1 AP either, like Armor of Contempt, though you can kind of get around that with Drought of Terror. But yeah, I think as soon as you take the one with the other save, the drop off is massive and you don't take a second one. Um, I really like them. I found they see the thing that's my lot of change is I've always found them to be both great and underwhelming. I've had them kill the Nightbringer in one go, literally from one go, just because they've just smacked out all the sixes on D3 sustained, and then my opponent's not made as many saves as they needed. I just roll all the fives and sixes. I've also had them fail to kill 5 with Rhino. Um, so they are a bit unreliable, but also I think the Lord of Change is a great shooting platform. Um, and I was running him for a very long time, beginning of the edition, and more recently. only over the last, well, actually, my last event, I dropped him, right? Because I wanted to do a Nurgle list going into Prior Nexus, where I go back to a bit more undivided. I probably won't be taking him straight away because I have a set of 4 monsters I really like, but he can definitely cycle back in. I think he will end up cycling back in, to be honest. Um, but yeah, I think the order change is good. With the Everstave, I think is very good. If you want that shooty option, then definitely take it. I think though you are limited to. I don't really think you want to take more than 4 monsters. I think 4 monsters is a nice point. You can take three, but I think 4 monsters is a nice point unless you're taking into like a pawn list or whatever. We'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, the exchange I think sits in the sixth spot. Good on it, like the other stave one. After that, the drop off is just not worth taking anymore. Unlike the keep, where you probably want a few keepers. So going into the fifth spot, the middle one, part two. Um, we've got a Skarbrand. Now this one was difficult because I really like Skarbrand. Disclaimer: I actually prefer Skarbrand over the Bloodthirster, but I'm trying to be unbiased because I do not like the Bloodthirster. Probably because mine's a curse. We'll get to that in a bit. The reason I put Skarbrand here is because I've looked at it subjectively, right? I've looked at it how the changes have happened and what I think is going to be more useful going forward. And I think the Bloodthirster probably has just slight more uses and now being the same price or 20 points more with Argath. Um, I think he comes just above the Bloodthirster. The reason the Bloodthirster isn't going to sit higher is because the other three options, in my opinion, just edge him out. But he's really, really good. Excuse me. Like I said, this 1 to 8 doesn't really do them justice because Skarbrand could sit higher. The Lord of Change could definitely sit higher. I think the Keeper could sit higher. I think Fateweaver is where he should be, to be fair. But he's there. Skarbrand has an 8-inch move, can be move blocked, hurts. That's his biggest weakness. But he has got his flat 6 damage. He's got the ability. He gives +1 attack to non-monsters. I wish it affected monsters like him and the Bloodthirster, but it doesn't. But he can still give you Bloodletters +1 attack. The Riders are your Blood Crushers +1 attack. The Fleshhounds +1 attack. So that's quite nice. He has the potential to stop units falling back because of leadership tests. I've actually had a couple games running in this edition where he stopped people falling back. 2 games were like game-winning situations where my opponent wasn't able to go back and do actions or fall back and charge and stuff like that. Which ended up giving me the doorway to winning the game, or at least helping on the way to winning the game. And so yeah, I like him. And like I said, his damage is just consistent. You know, he's got 8 attacks at strength 16 -4, 6 damage. Like that's pretty nuts. And also even funnier. I've had a few instances where like he gets under 7 or less wounds. My opponent goes, "Oh, he's bracketed." I'm like, "Yeah, he's bracketed." But oh yeah, -1 hit, no +2 attacks, and it's like what? Yeah. So Skarbrand is nuts. Um, I do prefer him over the Bloodthirster. But that's probably just, again, bit of biasm. Also, pre-data slate. I think post-data slate, Bloodthirster might actually just edge him now. But again, we'll get more into it in the Bloodthirster bit. But Skarbrand is definitely worth taking. If you want big smashy monsters, he's definitely a big option there. Him, the Thirster and Shalaxi are your big hitters. So yeah, if you just want smashy monsters, those three are instantly enlisted, in my opinion. I have dabbled with the idea of those three, um, but again, we'll talk a bit more why at the end of this. Let's get this out of the way. I don't want to spoil the others' entries, but yeah, he's also I think in a pawn list. He's like auto take, right? If you're taking heavy pawn or like monocorn, I think him and the Bloodthirst are definitely instantly in. So now we're going into the top four. So the top 5, we've got the middle one. I'm going to go Rodriguez. Now, I love Rodriguez. I knew he was good anyway. I've really only started playing him this edition recently. I've had one event with him. I've got another event next week with him. And I've played some practice games with him, and he's yet to not impress. He's just been pretty silly good. Um, yeah, no, I've really, really liked him. Um, the game against Tal the other night using new missions, date slate. I didn't have plague drones, so I wanted to see how he would do without plague drones, and I did miss the plague drones a bit. but also at the same time he just went nuts. He ended up killing a whole unit of crisis suit, like 3 crisis suits with a commander in one go, and then also then also killed that was with some flamer help from himself as well, and killed half a squad the turn before. So ended up killing 5 battle suits and a commander in two turns of combat, or 2 of my turns of combat. So yeah, that was pretty good. I just think his +1 damage ability, so he's like mini Grandmaster buff, where he picks a unit that's visible to him with an 18, and every no unit that targets that unit gets +1 damage. I think it's really good. It's not himself. Damage strength 8 -3 damage 4, or strength 2 damage strength 6 damage 2 on his sweeps with uh 14 attacks, or 7 attacks on the big one. So that's really good. Um, and then of course I think his half OC, half move aura, 6-inch aura is just silly good. It's really, really good. He's got the ability to just 3-inch it like down on an objective and just take it because of that. Especially with his 2d6 strength 7 -2, ignore cover Devwin Fleamer, which is also really nice. Also, really good to keep him near a unit that doesn't want to be shot by that. And if your opponent really needs to move that unit, you've got the Overwatch threat. And now it's like a big threat that your opponent really doesn't want to deal with. So he's 22 wounds with a 4-up in one as well, which is nothing to be sad about. And then if he's near a Glord within a 6 inches of a Great Unclean one, gets 6-up for no pain, which is better than nothing. Honestly, I love Rogus. I love him so much. I think he's got a good amount of damage. He's only Skarbrand and Bloodthirster Shalaxi levels of damage. But after them lot, he's probably better for overall for consistency on damage. Um, yeah, no, he's solid. He's really solid. And the half OC, half move aura is just really good. In an army that maybe wants to utilize their speed, Tau is one with a lot of that, especially Montclar, sisters and orcs, that kind of stuff. Having him kind of just in the middle, halving the OC so you're not getting bodied on primary as easy, but also just stopping the movement potentially saves your backline, or units within Be'lakor's no shoot range, etc., etc. So yeah, Rotagus, I just think for 230 points is an absolute steal. Right, now we're at the most important part, right? This is the top three now. These three, I think, are you're going to see at least 2 of these 3 in lists, every list. Um, it's going to come down to personal preference. I can see all 3 being in a list. To be honest, I toyed with the idea. Rotagus just stole my heart a bit too much. Now one of them, I mean, you can probably guess who's on top. To be honest, it's actually kind of already in order, so I've already spoiled it. But um, Shalaxi goes into third child. Now, I personally would actually like to put her here into the god second, because I think she can do no wrong. I'm a bit biased. I'm going to let the bias and not seep in. I am going to put her here, and you consider the price tag. Now, a lot of people are instantly put off by the price tag. They don't like it. I understand that. I have had way over 100 games attempt with demons now. Way over 100 games. She has been in probably 95%, if not more, of those games. Um, I can count on one hand how many times I've come out of a game and gone, she was bad. She didn't pull her weight. Um, that this girl has won me games. She has pulled defeat, victory out of the jaws of defeat for me many occasions. Like last year, I was against the Black Templar list. I reserved a bit too much, including her. Got swamped. Just was way down a primary. Was losing stuff fast. Belly fell over, and it was just like awesome. She dropped down in my deployment zone, charged in, proceeded to kill over 1,000 points of Black Templars in 3 turns, which was just nuts with shooting. My combat phase, he charged her, didn't kill her, she killed whatever hit her back. It was even funny to see her go into Helbrecht in his 5-man unit and picking them up, overshooting her in combat, and still picking them all up in a go, in that one turn. And like to the point where my opponent was like, I thought I had this in the bag. Like, oh my god, like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna pull this back. And I ended up losing the game, but it was like 35 points down or something like that when she came down, and I lost by I think 10 points maybe. Um, like she has won me games, like games that I had no right to win, and she's won me. Like the amount of times where I used to think I got lucky with her because she would go in, do her thing, get shot and charged by things that you would expect. She was expected to die, and she just didn't die. She survived. And the first couple of times, I was like, "Oh my god, I keep getting lucky." But it has happened so many times. Like every other game, my opponent will commit to her, not kill her. My opponent will be like, "Oh, well, if she actually died," I'm like, honestly, at this point, this happens so often that this is just how this is literally what happened. It's not a case of I got lucky. That's just what she does. Um, and I mean, any individual model that can go into a game and kill half your opponent's 2,000 point list, which she can very much do, I just think warrants being considered one of the best units we have. Um, I love the night games and chaos night games because I know she's about to get 1,000 points at least. The last night game I played a couple, or maybe not quite a couple months ago, she killed, I think it was 14 something on her own because that's what she does. And that was against a good player as well, not a weak player or anything, a really good player. I really like her. I can see why people don't. Um, the price tag is big. I still think she's worth it. I don't think anything like we have combat punch in the list and in the index, but nothing that she does to the same standard and consistency. The rerolls are great. The speed on her, the free reroll charges. She saves you so much. With her like just saving you on CP basically as well, which is massive because we like our CP. Um, and her shooting is, I think her shooting is underestimated because Pavane when it pops, like I've picked up like 12 wound T10 tanks, armigers, war dogs, etc. Those kind of stuff, and even with the whips involved if I have it as well. So yeah, I love her. I think she's brilliant. She's staying in my list for now. Would I like to have seen her come down? Yes, I think she could go to 425, maybe 420, and be fine. I could even see 400 and like where she used to be. But at the same time, if a 450 point model can very easily up through near 1,000 points, like it's hard to be like, oh, she should probably go down because she's good, but very high skill ceiling. I think you have to know what to do with her. You have to know how to use her, the right moments, the right targets, etc., etc. Because again, it's such a big point to your chunky points of your list that if you misuse her, you will get punished. Um, but yeah, she's fantastic. So moving on to the God's second, we're going with the Bloodthirster. And I genuinely think the Bloodthirster was one of three. I think there's three going big winners of the data slate. Fiends, I think, were one. The Bloodthirster was another one. I am anyone that knows me personally, they'll know for a fact I disdain the. I have real disdain for the Bloodthirster. I dislike it immensely. Now, the reason being is because mine is literally scudded. It is cursed. I hate it in something like 30, it was 35 straight competitive games. My Bloodthirster failed 26 6-inch charges, re-rolling more than half of those. I can't remember the exact number on the re-rolls. I just remember the amount of charges and the amount of games. Um, and then when it didn't make its charges during all those games, it failed to kill like two Elbrutes, right? An Eldar Plane, a Rhino, like yeah, my Bloodthirster hates me. Um, so I definitely have a dislike because of that. But bias aside, the Bloodthirst is really good. I think 305 points is a really good price for it, especially being the same price as Skarbrand now. It's basically, do you want more speed and the more wound output, or do you want more consistent damage with the potential no fallback? The plus one to hit aura is fantastic for corn stuff. In a corn list, you're taking um him all day long. The shadow bubble just makes him even better. Being able to run him forward again, just like we said with the keepers, like Shalaxi can do as well. Advancing him with a 12-inch move, 10 if you need to pivot him. Um, being able to 1 CP charge with Warp Surge still because always in the shadows. Being able to drop Skarbrand, another Bloodthirster, Blood Crushes, Blood Letters around him, and still get all those charges off. It's just so strong, right? It's really strong. Like the Bloodthirster is just such a linchpin for high pressure lists. Um, him and Skarbrand are very good for it. Keepers and Shalaxi, like I find the Bloodthirster is. I mean, I guess I was going to say the Bloodthirster is Pawn's Shalaxi, but you could kind of say that would be Skarbrand. But they can kind of fulfill the similar role of surge forward, drop things out, still get the charge in with the advance and charge, and put out a good amount of damage. Now, the Bloodthirster's damage, you're going to have it with Argath on it. because Argath is super strong on a always shadowed Bloodthirster. Because now you're strength 18 with 9 attacks, AP 4, D6 plus 2 damage. Um, or you can go with the sweep, which I just need to double check the strength because I always forget the strength. It is strength 10 standard, so it would be 16 attacks as strength 12 minus 2 damage. And of course, Grandmaster buffs, just like the Skarbrand, the Grandmaster buffs are there as well. It's +1 strength, +1 HP, +1 damage. Like, you can get him up to strength 20 on his big strikes. 9 attacks at strength 20, AP minus 6, D6 +4 damage. You can just want anything in the game um, with Grandmaster buffs. Slight overkill, I guess, but if you really need to kill something quite tough and big, like he can kill like the Avatar, the Unclean, Catan. He doesn't care. Other Greater Demons. Um, he can even have a go at the next guy coming up. So without further ado, let's get to the greatest of greatest, the number one. I think it's very hard to disagree with this. The Great Unclean one finally takes his place on top. It's been a while. They were good anyway. Now they are the best Greater Demon. Because the Shadow Bubble just makes them solid. Because I mean, let's be real. So again, like you can take Bloodthirsters, you can take multiple Bloodthirsters. I think it's not a bad shout. The Great Unclean ones, you can take multiple Great Unclean ones. They have their -1 toughness debuff, which is pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of them at the end of your movement phase. That unit is -1 toughness till your next movement phase. Um, and that does stack because it's not a named ability nor an aura. So taking multiple of them is really nice. But the first one you take is going to have the Endless Gift, which is 5 up for no pain, which becomes a 4+ in the shadows. They're always in the shadows. It's always got a 4 up for no pain. T12, 20 wounds, 4 up in 1, 4 up for no pain. Reroll in ones are 1 against shooting if you want to with demonic invulnerability. Like, that guy is genuinely a bastard to get rid of, right? An absolute bastard. Like, I've put him on the table so many times, and people's reactions are like, "Oh, why?" Like the other night, again, I had him sat in the middle. He took a hammerhead to the face. He took a crisis melter unit to the face. More melter shots from piranhas and stuff. Seeker missiles. And I wrote, I think I had like 9 or 10 saves. I passed 1 in 1. I broke 4, and the guy still survived before wounds left. 7, because the thing I haven't even mentioned on all of this is they are all +1 to their battle shock test, so they're all basically leadership 5 for battle shocks. And if they pass, they heal D3 wounds, which is fantastic. It's even when your opponent forces battle shocks on them, especially when they're wounded, outside of your battle shock phase, because you go, cool, I'll take my battle shock, oh, I pass, I'm healed. And that's all of them. They can all do that because all of them are always in the shadows. So yeah, with the Grand Clean one, he's just you can push him forward. There are armies that can deal with him, but he is by no means he's not a pushover. He will tank a lot of things in the game. Excuse me. Um, Damage not amazing, but not terrible. He's got like 6 attacks with lethals, hitting on 2, strength 8, -2 d6 damage. You can give it reroll wounds if you target a unit that was hit by a plague drone unit in the shooting phase. Um, you can give it +1 damage from Rodigus, or specifically hitting the unit, an enemy unit that Rodigus targets, with his +1 damage ability. So, like, you can get a lot out of them with the combat. Something else is their shooting's not bad either. They have a D6 +3 flamer, strength 5 -2, which is quite nice. It actually, against low toughness armies like Eldar, Sisters, Tau to an extent, opponents are a bit afraid to really move their weaker units if you're near them, because they don't really want to have to lose most of them, especially if it's the only unit they can kind of get towards a Great and Clean one to contest or take the objective and stop you holding it. And then you just flame most of it away. It's like, cool, you ain't got the OC to take it anymore. You've got no other unit that can get there. Now you've got to get him, and he's still on a lot of wounds. Like, he's one of the most reliable ways we're going to be scoring primary in Pariah. because you just kind of move him forward. You might keep something else with him. Should anything get near, just play and um, just deny it. You can bring a unit of plague bearers in within 6 of him, 6 away, charge in, and be able to take an objective back if need be, or to secure the objective more. So that's really nice. Yeah, he definitely is the biggest winner from the data slate for us, and I can't believe he stayed at 230 points, 260 with the endless gift. I think it's nuts. When I knew about the shadows, which is I knew just before we kind of found out on Thursday, about all the great demons getting the shadows, I was like, okay, he's definitely going up 100%. They're not going to keep him at 230/260. And then when I did the points and he didn't change, and then endless gift didn't change, and I was like, what? It's like, wow. Yeah, I was so shocked. I really was. So, so yeah, so that is my personal current tier list. Like I said, there is no worse. They are all good. They all have their uses, but there is definitely a line of best to the not best, right? Um, but they like I said with the ground clean ones, I think every list that isn't going to be like focusing on a mono god, um, will take him, and even some that do just take him to most of a god will probably still take him because he's just solid. The Bloodthirster is really good, especially in mono corn, but just on his own, he's pretty good as well. Shalaxi to me is still Bay. She's still amazing. Um, I will still take her. I know a lot of people that will still take her. Some people won't. That's fair enough. That's the thing I love about it is some people will, some people won't. I don't think there's a wrong argument. If you know how to use her and get the most out of her, do it. If you feel like she just takes up too much on your list and for your playstyle you want the more points, fine. Um, you can Skarbrand is also really good as well. Rodigus, I think, is ridiculously good. I think it's phenomenal for his points. The Lord of Change is still good with his shooting. By no means being that low down doesn't mean he's bad. He is not bad at all. He is good. Um, the keepers I like. I think you want multiple keepers, and I think that's where you're going to take them to a synergy list. Fateweaver has play, but he's more niche. That's the thing with Fateweaver. So yeah, I think Grand Claymont you can definitely use multiple of. Bloodthirsters you can use multiple of. Lord of Change you probably don't want more than the one with the Everstave. Keepers definitely you can use multiple of. As far as the 4 names go, Rotigus, Shalaxi, Skarbrand, all really good. All will see play in lists. Fateweaver, more niche, as I've already said. Um, yeah, so of course, people are going to differ. Some people are going to probably put Shalaxi further down, put Skarbrand higher, Lord of Change higher. This is the thing is this is my opinion from just playing them all this edition and seeing how they've kind of changed with the new data slate. How I think, to be honest, the shadow bubbles they all benefit from it massively, but there are definitely some that benefit from it more than others. I think the Great Unclean one benefits from it the most. The Bloodthirster, Shalaxi, Skarbrand will massively benefit from it because of Warp Surge, the Keeper as well. Lord of Change because of the Everstave. So yeah, it is a good time to be a demon player. The only problem with this is we get all the people that only look at demons when they're good, right? And I've already had a few people, oh yeah, I'm going to play my demons again. I'm like, cool, you haven't looked at them in like 7, 8, 9 months, but now you're coming back because we're good. So we're just going to hang in there because we know that when the next update comes, I can see us being brought down. I can see some heavy point ups. The ground will definitely go up. I think that's guaranteed. So make the most of it, right? If you've got your big smashing monsters, don't listen to what some people say. Big smashing monsters is the way to go. But you need balance because pariah, you need your scoring units. 3 to 4 monsters, I think, is fine. Of which way you take them, obviously we've not even got Be'lakor here. There's a big argument for Be'lakor, and to be honest, I really want to do a video. More specifically, I want to do it with someone on the opposite side of the fence. I'm a big guy for Be'lakor. I still like him. Um, he he always art the phase. I hate you so much, but yeah, I will always thank you. Um, but that's for another video. I would love to get someone on that is vehemently against him. We can have a debate. I actually don't think there's a right or wrong side on that. I think it's down to preference. But like I said, that's a debate for another video. Um, this is all about the Great Demons. As you can see, top to bottom. Yeah. Now we're going to start rambling because we are rambling on because that's all I do is I ramble about my demons because I love them, just like I hope you all do as well. So we're going to bring this to a close. I hope this was informative. Any questions? I'm always ready to answer questions down below in the comments or on the Chaos Demon Facebook group or even on the people on our Facebook page and Instagram page. I'm always up for talking about demons. My goal is to help as many people as I can learn and get better with this faction. That's all I'm going to do. So please always ask. I always answer questions. It's what I love to do. Please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps. It gives me the motivation to carry on and it allows me just to keep going. Um, Check out the Facebook and the Instagram as well. Keep up to date with all the latest uploads from the channel, as well as just criminal progress, hobby progress, all that cool stuff. Check out the Chaos Demon page. There's yeah. If you want more, like learning about the faction, go on there. There's loads of knowledgeable people on there, including myself. Um, yeah, that's all I can say. So like I said, if you disagree with any of what I've said, please leave it down below. I want to hear exactly what your opinions and how we differ. That's definitely what I want. Um, build this community up, start good friendly debates because that's how we learn. We can all learn. Doesn't matter how long I've been playing this faction, I still learn from people that, well, anyone. You know, we all learn, right? It's never you never get too old to learn. You've never been playing this game too long to learn. So I'm going to stop rambling because I'm going on and on. Thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you all in the next one.